Good morning. Good morning. How we all doing out there? Happy Wednesday. We're going to bring another action-packed daily reel for you guys today. I hope you guys are feeling this spring market a little bit. I know open houses are starting to get teed up, and buyers are out, and pre-approvals are up. So it's time to get to work. Anybody have anything? We've got our inspectors with us as we do every Wednesday, so I'm sure they've got some stuff to talk about. Anybody have anything going on one of your deals? A win, a loss, a push? That'd be good for us to just kind of get on the table today. This is an interactive show, people. We're supposed to go out and do real estate transactions, and we're supposed to come on the daily reel, and we're going to talk about them. Air your grievances.
So who's had a inspection go sideways?
That never
Because a deal
happens,
goes
John.
sideways? Yeah, I know. But I'm sure there's a few nuggets out there. No
One
one's
thing
had an inspector blow a deal?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Hey, Lauren, go ahead.
I'll get this one started. So I purchased a home last year. Kind of funny situation. Now we had to go to it, and we waived inspections to get into this house. And now we are about at a year and 2 weeks. And the problems we are dealing with now has been super fun. I have my whole house water filtration system just completely failed. We are in septic and well where I am. Found out that the one that we have in place from the previous owners isn't actually built for what we have in the water. A high level of iron, and the filter that was in place, didn't remove it the right way. So we've got buildup. Now we're looking at replacing that. We are having something kind of going on, I think, with our septic. So I've got septic people coming out. All the good things that you think house looks super solid, but without an inspection, we are now dealing with.
Yeah, and I think this is why you're seeing, the state of Massachusetts come and say, hey, no more waiving inspections. Can't have that in the offer, right? I think a lot of people, you're in the industry, you know the risk that you were taking by doing that. Just thinking about the, thousands of people that are in your similar spot and probably feel like my agent didn't support me. My agent didn't have my back. They just wanted me to, get an accepted offer. It's like, no, we knew that was the only way to get your offer accepted, right? And as much as you tell people, right, I'm assuming you're feeling a little burnt right now, Lauren, when you're in the biz, right?
Yeah, so a little burnt on myself. I know that I did negotiate the price on the property, and I feel like we got a very good value on the home in doing the waiver of inspection with a couple of additional terms. So that's why I was willing to do it. Yeah, but now at this point, I think that even having just known about those couple things and being able to mentally prepare for them in the future, not even necessarily having asked for them at the beginning, would have been nice rather than them kind of seeming like surprises, because everything was functioning very well at time of purchase.
Anybody else have something similar or want to add to kind of what Lauren's talking about?
Well, just one thing, Steve.
Yeah.
With the sewer mains and septic systems, we started at Sherwood a division about a year and a half ago to look at these areas specifically, because there's such a major artery, and if you're not looking at them, you're opening yourself up to a $10,000 to $15,000 repair, depending on how long the run is. So it's a pretty cheap, for under $500. It's a pretty cheap insurance policy to take a look at that.
Yeah, and I think, the more that the market shifts in favor of the buyers, the more leverage you have to do all of these different inspections at this point, right? Once you've got the property secured, go and do these extra things, or at least as an agent be proposing this stuff so that nobody can ever come back to you and say, I didn't even realize I could have inspected that. right?
Right.
So, I think we're better off doing that and having a client that goes, man, you know, John really cared about me. He wasn't just trying to make the sale, and he made me aware of all the opportunities. Now, whether they choose to do them or not, right? That's on them. So, Sue, I see your
Well,
hand
we
up.
had a realtor excuse me, we had a realtor who advised against crumbling foundation inspection. They bought the house 9 months later, crumbling foundation, but they didn't get the inspection. And that realtor was on the hook for talking them out of it. So she got hit with a lot of penalties and
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah. I
of-
can't imagine a scenario, guys, where we should ever tell somebody they do not need to do XYZ inspection, whatever that be. Right.
let them
You know,
decide.
yeah. Always got to
We
be on
also had
them.
an agent.
And John, let me just finish up on this with regards to the disclosures, right? I mean, the one that we use specifically says, I have recommended that you do a home inspection, right? That you do a structural mechanical, and that you are choosing not to do so, right? Not just that you're waiving, but that I have specifically recommended that you do this. And that's the approach that I think you should be taking on all of this stuff, right?
Right.
Hey, look, if I was buying this house, I would inspect these things. So,
So this is probably 2 years ago, sold a house in Agawam. They did do an inspection, but 6 months later, everything was backing up. The tub, you know, toilets, everything. And what came out of it is that the sewer line from the street to the property had part of the line dropped. So it was like a U. So everything, so my buyers came back and said, is this something we can go back to the sellers about? And I said, well, if everything was functioning properly for 6 months, I don't think we can go back.
yeah, and
But
let me just add some clarity around this one. It doesn't matter if it was operating for one day after right purchase. Like if you guys do the inspection and everything is functioning, and then you buy the house and it's not functioning, there's nothing you can do, right? Unless somehow you could prove that between the time that you did the inspection and the closing, the seller knew about this issue and didn't disclose it, it's on your buyer. They've bought a property. Things can go wrong with a property. I've bought multiple properties where this has happened. I had one where I was buying a building, and the closing got delayed for like 4 weeks. And in those 4 weeks, the furnace just completely failed, right? So the seller ended up having to put a new furnace in there. So it can work in your favor too. Things can, go wrong with the property prior to closing that the seller's going to have to fix. In this case, you got to have heat. So anybody have something with regards to home inspection, waived it, now they're coming back at you? Hey, I didn't know, I didn't understand, I'm just curious if any of you have come across a client like this and kind of how that conversation went.
We had one client, Steve, that called us 2 months after he bought the house. And Dave Sherwood went out there to inspect the foundation because he had some cracking, and the house across the street was all jacked up, redoing the foundation. So Dave went out, he said, yeah, there's peritite in here, there's crumbling foundation. And he said, how did you buy the house? Did you see across the street? And he said, no, I bought it off of my realtor's phone. So the realtor was walking around giving an inspection using his phone. Well, that's a huge liability issue. So that's not something that you want to sign up for, because, if you don't point something out correctly, they can come after you.
Yeah, that's a good point. We can do walkthroughs, guys, if somebody wants to see a property, virtually, but definitely not inspection. Catherine is asking about new construction. She says, besides a 4 points inspection, I mean, my personal opinion on new construction is do a full home inspection. I don't care that it's new construction. You know, it depends on the town on how diligent all the inspections are all the town inspectors are being throughout the process. And the other thing, and we've talked about this one before, you've got to do something when the walls are still open on new construction. Look at the plumbing, look at the wiring. Once those walls are closed up, very difficult to see, right? So with new construction, do something before those walls get closed up on your own. Catherine, I hope that answers your question there. John, did you guys have anything in particular that you wanted to tackle today?
Yeah, we're gonna talk a bit about the FHA water testing.
Okay.
Todd's gonna
I
cover that a bit. What's that, Todd?
Hold on. Just before I get there, new construction, I just wanted to stress, is probably a much more important inspection than a house that's been lived in for 20 years. People say that new construction, oh, it's brand new, I don't need anything. My quick favorite story is a condo in Greenwich, Connecticut, 3 years old, and went in to do, the builder built them. They're all rental units. He's now selling them. So they're all getting inspected. I did the inspection and I'm in the master bedroom, bathroom, and I hear screaming from the dining room. I filled the tub, I'm draining the tub, it's pouring into the dining room. 3 years after they were rented, no one has ever checked the master bathroom bathtub, and the drain wasn't connected. And it just poured into the dining room. And we found that the dryer vents weren't connected, and the downdraft wasn't connected. And to give the builder credit, he went to the other units and found the same thing in all of them. So we repaired all of them. But everybody kept saying, there's nothing wrong with this. People have been here for 3 years. It's brand new, not an issue. And that's that was an expensive repair. Go ahead, John, I just wanted to finish Steve's point. Go ahead, John.
No problem. Yeah, FHA water, Todd, I'm gonna defer to you on that as well.
So the FHA VA has some minimum water standards if it's a well system. And we check for that. Almost every home inspector does water testing. It's a very simple thing, but I really stress to people who have a well to do the water test regardless of the treatment system in the house. Because one, as the previous agent mentioned, you don't know if it's the right system. And number two, you don't know if it's functioning properly. I've been in houses where the system is there, but there is nothing is working. It's not hooked up. But nobody really paid attention to that. The plug was unplugged. So it's really important to take a look at that for the well. And besides the fact the FHA mandates the water testing, it's really important so the people buying the house can understand what's there, what they have to be looking for. Do they want to put in a treatment center? Is it drinkable? Usually drinkable is not an issue. It's the taste, which is a separate issue.
Todd, I want to just interrupt you there for a minute. I think a lot of people, when it comes to the home inspection, don't really understand that, in my opinion, what it is, the greatest use is for the homeowner to get familiar with their property. Because I think most people buying a home have no clue about the parts and how they function, right? So to not be there, right, for your home inspection, hey, I'll be there late, I'll be there whatever, I'll just look at the inspector's report. Unless you've got a contractor as your buyer, right, you guys really want to push your buyers to be there. It's a chance for them to get to know the property that they're about to invest in. right? And just because there's stuff wrong with it, that doesn't mean don't buy it. That just means, like kind of what Lauren said, hey, I just wish I knew. Just a little easing of the mind of, hey, all right, I've got these few issues with these parts of the house. I got these few issues with this parts of the house. I understand where the shutoff valve is. I understand how to change the filter on my forced air heating system. You know, I know where my circuit breaker panel is. I know how to check the breakers. You know, all these little things just give a little, you know, ease of mind for these buyers. So really stress that they got to be there. In this case, Todd's talking about, you know, doing a water test and really understanding, hey, there's a filtration system here. Okay, well, there's a million types of filtration systems. What type do I have? What is it actually filtering for? Right? Because you could find out, hey, it's filtering for X and Y, but not, you know, A and B. So in a lot of these systems, you know, they can add parts to them. Right? So we might be able to add A and B to the existing system. You know, you might have a hot water heater and you might be deciding, hey, maybe I want to go with on demand. This thing is, you know, it's an older hot water heater, might be in need of replacement. That might be a conversation that the inspector can have with the buyer. Hey, you know what? Things still working, but this hot water heater could go any day. Based on everything else that's going on here, you might want to consider, you know, an on-demand hot water heater. They could talk them through that a little bit. So these are the types of things that a good home inspector is they're going to be knowledgeable about these things, that your client can ask these questions, right? And you guys should be, you know, we do something here on our team where we take you through all the different parts of a property. You know, we've put together a PowerPoint presentation so you know, different types of windows, different types of siding, different types of heating systems, different types of fuel, right? You should have a basic understanding of this stuff. Lauren.
We actually do have that in place already. All new agents that join the team, there's a 4-part anatomy of a house that they go through to learn all of it.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said we do
Oh,
that
okay.
here. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said we should get something
Oh,
together.
no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm the CEO over here, Lauren. I developed anatomy of a house with the help of Mr. Jared Hamry, Modern
Correct.
Home
Yeah.
Improvement. Shameless plug for those guys.
All right, Todd, anything else, sir?
No, that's basically the only other thing with the well is the flow test, which is important. And we went through the new FHA regulations, but just for a standard well, a non-FHA loan, do a flow test. It's important to know that your well isn't going to run out of water after 30 minutes. And but as Steve said, it's all about giving the knowledge of the house to the homeowner. I always say to the homeowner, 50% of my job is inspection, 50% of my job is to make you comfortable with what you're buying. So you know what's here. And yes, if the hot water heater is 20 years old, which is 5 years past the service life, and it's working beautifully, well, it can go tomorrow. So as long as you're aware of that, I've been in houses where the boiler, I went to one house, the boiler was 70 years old and working absolutely beautifully. They made that thing out of so much steel. I don't know what they made it out of, but it was running beautifully. No issues. Not very energy efficient, but the homeowner was like, yeah, fine, I'll just keep it. Well, as long as they know, it's all about the knowledge of the house and making them comfortable with it. And then they're not going to come back to you and say anything that negative about the house, and they really appreciate the unbiased comments that an inspector can make to the house, again, so they're knowledgeable about the house.
And Todd, we got some homework for you because our lenders are saying that FHA rule is not accurate. So we've got, we need something from the home inspector crew that says that flow test is required. It's a new requirement, the 3-hour thing. So I've yet to see. Yeah, I want to see that from you guys in writing because, yeah, send it over because they're still looking at the old regulation, which says, there are certain scenarios, vacant house, new construction, et cetera, where we've got to do it.
Not a problem. We'll have that to you this afternoon.
Yep.
All right.
And Steve, to your point, I mean, our approach as inspectors at Sherwood is we teach our people to do a walk and talk inspection. So if the buyer wants to walk around with our inspector, great. Just don't ask them a million questions, but they'll educate you along the way and your buyer.
Anybody else on the home inspection process, or any questions around home inspection, or a weird scenario that you had on one of your inspections that you want to throw on the table?
Any funny stories? Those are always good.
If we don't have anything, I wanted to switch gears a little bit with a topic. This is just a productivity thing that I've seen come up a couple of times recently, and I know it brings a lot of frustration to a lot of people. And this is password protection. It seems like we have had quite an evolution on passwords. You know, I remember when it was just, throw a password in there, and it's like, okay, your password isn't strong enough. So it's like you need a number. So, all right. Now everybody just took their normal password and added the 1 to the end. And then they said, all right, we got to make them even stronger. So you got to have a funky character. So they took the 1 and now they put an exclamation point at the end. And it's like I could guess most people's passwords. And, now it's okay. It's got to be 8 characters. And so it's kind of gotten to a point where you get nervous about this stuff, and then you get locked out of systems, and we've got so many different systems. So I'm just curious on the amount of people, so just quick raise of hands or a 1 in the chat, that are using some sort of a password manager. Because this has just brought some ease to my life, and we're running the entire family on this. They have family plans for this, so I don't have to worry about my kids forgetting their passwords and all of that. So 1 in the chat or a hand raise. Very few people on password manager. All right. So either we don't have the ability to put 1s in the chat or raise our hands, or we are not using password manager. So I would strongly encourage, I think these things are like 10, 15 bucks a month. And man, it's going to bring just a little bit of peace to your world. So a couple of different ones. I use 1Password particularly. I absolutely love it. But LastPass, Dashlane are a couple other big ones. Bitwarden, Keeper Security. I think 1Password and LastPass are kind of the 2 tops on this stuff. So anybody that's using it want to kind of comment on this and back me up? Or Lauren, I saw your hand go up. Steve Henn, I saw yours.
I was just gonna say, at minimum, we should be utilizing within our phones. You have the option to save all of your passwords. Usually, there's a setting where you can go into your phone and search passwords, and every website that you have them saved within your phone for, same thing like computers, laptops. If you have like profiles that sign into them, should be saving passwords within there as well for free options.
Yeah, I know. I know iPhone has a pretty good password process. I don't know. I'm assuming Android has something similar. But we're moving into a world where these things aren't going away. You're going to have more systems, more tech, more passwords, and I think password management is just got to be something that you're no longer having to think about or worry about. And the way these things work, just so you guys understand, you create one solid password that you're comfortable with that's going to meet the standards of your password software. That's the only one that you got to remember. And then it is generating extremely long, 12 to 18 characters typically. Pretty much password picking proof. No system's going to be able to beat it. And then when you go to log in, those apps just recognize, oh, Steve's trying to log into Instagram. Let me fill in his username and his password for him. And you can use it for your, whatever, your PIN codes for your bank accounts. You can save just, you could put documents in there. So you want to have your, we've been talking a lot about wills and trusts, and you want to have that documentation in there. You want to have some specific stuff that you might want a significant other to have in case, anything were to happen. You were to have a fire in your house, or, I don't know, God forbid you lose some documentation. So it's nice, it's a little bit more than just passwords. It's just a safe keep place where you can store stuff and feel pretty confident that it's secure. Anybody else have questions on that or just a comment around utilizing them? Starting to just notice that as my kids are getting a little bit older, they've got more systems and stuff. And so getting a family plan and getting them comfortable with logging in and using that stuff so they grow up in a world where they don't have to worry about that. And they just remember their one that's pretty secure. All right. Any last thoughts or comments from our inspection crew? You guys hit everything you wanted to hit today? I'll take that as a yes from those
Thank
guys.
you all.
Yes.
Yeah, we hit the high points.
All right. All right, let's take a look at what we have available for learning opportunities today. We have the Investor Agent Playbook, Video Lab, Real Conversions. This is a really good one for agents that, are struggling with, they've got a lot of opportunities in their database and they're struggling with the conversations to have and how to convert those people into clients. I would highly recommend that Real Conversions class. Sales Master class, and invest like a Titan, niche domination. So 6 different opportunities today. So go take a class, come back, share what you learned, and most importantly, do not let this spring market pass you by, guys. Right? We are getting into the time where you've got to take action. So please, please, please do not let the spring market. This is not going to be an easy 2025. It's going to be a grind. And those agents that want to survive are going to have to take the spring market serious. So please, please, please start taking action. Make your calls, send your texts. This is not the time to be fooling around with how aggressive you are taking the market. So go out there, crush your Wednesdays. We'll come back and do it again tomorrow. Appreciate y'all. Take care.
Thanks a lot, Steve.
Bye-bye.